We are currently waiting on Dr. Branch to join us. Spoke with him a little earlier this afternoon, and so he should be joining us here pretty soon. He will be running the meeting for us this evening, so we will give him just a minute or two, and hopefully we'll get started here in just a minute. Working for you. I do want to make one quick staff announcement before we get going. This is a reminder that this is technically a public meeting. Therefore, the public is allowed to listen in to what you say, and a recording of it per state law will be made available for public consumption in the future. So just a note there. I know in some of our other meetings, nobody has shown up in the crowd. But the public does have access to listen to what is said, so just keep that in mind.
Thank you very much.
And
Do we have other people?
We
Good
do
to go,
have
Scott.
several other people. I think we're good to go. Dr. Branch, if you want to open the meeting, and then I will we'll do the call to order and then the attendance.
Okay. All right. I need to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Due to the governor's safer in place order, all members of the Winston-Salem Local Governance Study Commission are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A commission member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting per the notice posted May 21st, 2020. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted the city manager's office to take the necessary arrangements. A recording of today's meeting will be available by Friday, May 29th on the city's website. And so with that said, we'll move on to the minutes. I hope everyone has had a chance to look at the minutes from the
Dr.
last
Branch,
meeting.
we're going to go ahead and
Yes.
take the attendance really quickly by roll call.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
If you
Ms. Cynthia Jeffries.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Kismet Lofton Bell.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Dr. David Branch.
I'm here.
Yep. Reverend Alvin Carlisle. Not present. Mr. Ed Haynes.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Jeannie Metcalf. Ms. Metcalf, can you hear us?
I hear you. I guess you can't hear me.
There we go. Thank you much.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Katie Hall.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Gail Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Steve Berlin, Mr. John Cockleries,
Here.
thank you, and Dr. Jack Fleer.
Scott, we lost Dr. Fleer.
We lost Dr. Fleer. Okay. We will, if he comes back, I will make sure that we get him in the attendance record at the time that he rejoins the meeting.
Well, I guess go right ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Branch, if you'd like to move forward with approval of the minutes.
Yeah, I would. And do we have to have a quorum or a majority? Because we do plan to vote.
We do have a quorum. We have more than enough members. Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Looking at the minutes from the last meeting, March the 11th, I'd like a motion to approve with whatever additions or corrections.
Mr. Chair, this is Kismet Loftonville. May I have permission to speak? Excuse me.
Yes, of course.
May I request a slight modification to the minutes? It's a clarification of a statement that I made. I'm looking at which page. One moment while I locate that specific portion. My apologies for taking a moment to find it again. And maybe I'll just explain it because I can't find it now that I'm looking for it. So it is in the conversation about, there it is. It's on the second page, the first, that first paragraph there about midway down, where it states that I remarked that at-large positions might limit the board's mindset. I'm not sure about that wording, but nonetheless, I understand what it says. And then it goes on to say that that for the ability of potential at-large candidates monitoring ability to serve, it is not necessarily monetary ability to serve, it's monetary ability to compete is really the goal behind that. Whether, so we can clarify that, I'll greatly appreciate it.
I can make that edit to say to compete instead of to serve. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Are there additions or modifications? Okay, hearing none. Have we got a second on the minutes?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Like sign? Okay, minutes are accepted. Thank you very much.
Dr.
I'm
Branch,
sorry.
we're going to have to do a roll call vote on every vote. I hate to do that, but I will call the names individually. I know that it sounded unanimous, but we'll have to call them individually.
Okay.
So I will call them in the same order we did earlier. If you will just remark in the affirmative. Ms. Jeffries,
Affirmative.
thank you. Ms. Lofton Bell,
Approve.
Dr. Branch,
Affirm.
Reverend Crowell was not here. Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Metcalf,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Hall,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Cockleries,
Yes.
and has Dr. Fleer rejoined us?
Yes, and I'm aye.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Completing the minutes, and thank you for that that support and approval to the minutes. The second part of the number 2 part of the agenda is edits and amendments to the draft report. And Scott, would you make comments on these, please?
Be more than happy to. I have received 3 edits at this point. 2 of them I consider to be non-substantial. Ms. Hall asked that some biographical information be edited, and Dr. Fleer found a typo and fixed it for us as any good professor would. So we appreciate that. Don't believe that we need any official votes on any of those. Mr. Berlin, who is not with us this evening, did pose a question, and so I will pose it to the commission. And if someone wants to make an amendment, they can make a motion to do so. In the draft report on the first page, under the section background, it's paragraph 3 starts with the sentence, new ward lines included in the bill would have had the effect of placing 3 African-American female council members in the same ward. That language was taken directly from the press release and also from the website. Mr. Berlin said that he didn't want to strike that. He just wanted there to be a conversation if it was necessary as to whether that language seemed a little too politically charged for a report from this commission. So if there needs to be any discussion around that and somebody wants to strike that language, we could move to do that. If you wanted to leave the language, I'm fine with that as well. I was just looking for a little direction from the commission based on the comments again from Mr. Berlin, who's not with us this evening.
Let me open the floor for comments on that.
This is Gail. Just a question. Was he suggesting striking the sentence or editing perhaps to say 3 sitting council members in the same ward?
Ms. Anderson, you could choose to do anything that you want. Again, Mr. Berlin's not here to speak to the question, and he didn't give me a specific edit and say I wanted this. He just said he thought there might be some good discussion about whether it was needed.
I'd like to make some commentary. Thank you. I think a big reason as to why this commission was founded in the first place was to make sure that we protected the integrity of all members of our community. And the racially charged piece was a big deal because it was consolidating wards that are primarily Black wards in our community and putting them under one jurisdiction of one council member, which was reducing the voice and the political power of the Black community. So I think that was an important part of our task to make sure that all voices in our community have representation and the ability to be heard. So I think maybe Cynthia Jeffries was going to say something.
I was just looking at the text. This is in the background, Scott, section. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It's page 4 following the bullet
Right.
points of the
Following the
background.
bullet points.
Yes.
I think that is a statement of fact. And so I don't have a problem with it. I think that is, as Katie said, that was a part of the contention about it. I don't know why, and I guess it is correct to say 3 African-American female council members, why it's just not 3 African-American council members. They probably all are female, but that just seems a bit not important. But so I support leaving it in.
Thank you.
The language, 3 African-American female council members was copy and pasted directly from the press release.
Right.
That was put out by the city marketing department.
Right.
So to not reinvent the wheel, we copy and paste it directly in. It was also at one point requested by the commission to add that to the city's webpage, to your local government study commission webpage, and so that language exists in that exact same format on the webpage as well.
So that's fine.
Mhm. Any other comments?
I have no problem leaving it as it was written.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have no problem leaving it as it was written either.
Thank you.
I'm fine with it as written.
Thank you very much. I think and my thought is that it really addresses two underrepresented groups nationally, and that's female African Americans. So I rather the way that's written.
All right. Well, without a motion and hearing from folks, we will leave that as is. Are there any other edits or amendments to the report that were not emailed to staff that anyone would like to discuss at this point?
If I may speak, this is Kismet. And just a minor edit. I am not a staff member, or really former staff member, but not current.
Yeah.
Okay, that's in the biographical information.
Yes, it's in the box in the current on page 5.
And so you would like it to say former Urban League staff member, or would you like that to be edited to say something else entirely?
I was not a member at the time, so you can just leave. I'm a professor at Forsyth Tech and Surrey Community College.
Okay. We will make that amendment for you.
Thank you.
Okay. This is Cynthia Jeffries. Could you just add owner Jeff Shared Treasures, and I'll send you the information. Neighborhood leader, and
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Scott, this is John Cockle-Reese, and I don't know if this is the same typo that Dr. Spear found, but the one I saw was in the second to last line of the report.
That is not the one Dr. Fleer found. I will scroll to that second to last line.
To the impossible, the current, and it has keyboard system of direct.
So what page, John?
15.
Mr. Cockle-Reese, could you read the sentence that you're speaking of?
It's on the, starts out the recommendation provides for at-large representation on the council while preserving, to the extent possible, the current ward, and at least the copy I'm looking at has ward spelled T-W-A-R-D.
Yes. Okay.
So just
We will make that edit. Thank you much. Does anyone have any other amendments or edits? Dr. Branch, if we don't have any more edits to the report, then we can move on to the agenda. The next item, which is approval of the draft report as amended.
Want to make sure that we didn't have a true amendment, and so which would require a vote. To me, it sounded like we did not. It sounded like we had basically edits and comments on some of the wording, but that's it, without change. And if I'm correct on that, then I believe we can move on to the okay. Yeah. Was that a negative vote?
It was a shout of approval.
Sorry.
The third part of the agenda is approval of the draft report.
Right.
Now, we've all had a chance to read the draft, and we've certainly made comments and edits, but we need to have a roll call vote on the approval of the draft report that we worked so hard for.
I move its approval.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Moved and seconded.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a group vote, and then we have to do a roll call. But those in favor with it, aye.
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 Opposed? Any opposed? Thank you. Now, Scott, would you do a roll call?
Yes, sir. For the sake of state law, Ms. Jeffries?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Lofton-Bell?
Yes.
Dr. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Ms. Metcalf?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Cocklereese?
Yes.
Mr. Fleer? Dr. Fleer, excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All in favor of that individual roll call? The motion is passed. And we can move on to the notification of the filing of House Bill 1165. Scott, would you make some comments about that, please?
I will, Dr. Branch. I hope that you all received the email that I sent out last week. There was a House bill at the North Carolina General Assembly, House Bill 1165, sponsored by State Representative Montgomery, former council member Montgomery, that does two things. One, it makes some changes to the filling of vacancies in the city council, which is something that the city council had asked for previously and was part of the original House bill as well, that we looked at as a part of this process. And the second thing, Section 2 of Representative Montgomery's bill makes the changes that you are recommending as a commission, effectively adding 2 at-large positions to the city council. The subsection of Section 2 there provides for a special primary election no later than September the 8th, under which that would take place. So staff is simply making you aware, if you had not seen the previous communications, that a House bill has been filed. We don't know whether it's going to be able to make it through in a short session, particularly when you have everything that's going on with the coronavirus. But we just wanted to make you aware of that. That the state legislator had sponsored a bill to make the changes that you had recommended in your draft report. Mr. Branch, Mr. Berlin did meet with Mayor Joines and Representative Lambeth a week or two ago. It was 2 weeks ago today. And a brief discussion about the report and the potential filing of a bill at some point later. And then this happened. If Dr. Branch wants to make any comment, feel free to do so. Staff just wanted to make you aware that that bill is out there. If you want to go and read it, feel free. If you have any questions, let us know. If there's anything we can answer for you, we will. We basically have the same information that you do, but it's been
Any
I'm
questions
wondering
on that?
whether Dr. Branch has any further comment on Mr. Joines and Mr. Lambeth's reaction to the report and its recommendation.
I think that they were probably fairly well informed in the whole process of this, and they expected what we came up with because they followed the steps. I don't think that there was a surprise. I have a process question, and maybe Scott, you can answer this. If this second bill 1165 has been proposed and filed, does that withdraw or automatically cancel the previous bill that Representative Lambeth had submitted and Conrad? How does that work?
If Angela Harlan, the city attorney, is out there, I might ask her to procedurally discuss when a previous bill makes it or doesn't make it to crossover for the short session, whether or not it's eligible for committee and vote. Angela, want to answer that?
I'm not sure as it relates to the election bill, but even if it, quote, didn't make crossover, I mean, there's always a process by which bills can be revived by getting another bill and putting the desired language into that bill. I think it may have died, but like I said, it can always be revived. It was my understanding that this new bill was based upon an understanding between Representative Lambeth and Representative Montgomery in terms of the desired direction of the city to add two at-large members. I think the timing of it might be an issue, but I think that that was based upon an understanding that that was the desire of the city.
And that's what I understood from our conversation. Although I think Representative Lambert wanted to do a little bit more research, which he is, I expect that he will certainly do. I think this, by our initial charge and the comments made by our mayor, Alan Joines, we have successfully addressed the issue, and we've certainly learned a lot in this whole process on how government works.
It also seemed like the timing was kind of in conjunction of the passing of Mayor Pro Tem Vivian Burke's passing. And I don't know if that was a part of the reason of the timing of Mr. Montgomery filing the bill or not.
Mr. Chair, I did speak, this is Angela again. I did speak with Representative Montgomery. What he said to me was that he was trying to meet the deadline for filing local bills, although it deals with elections. It was thought to be a local bill because it specifically relates to the city of Winston-Salem. And what he told me, he was trying to meet the filing deadline for local bills.
Cynthia Jeffries, did you talk about the timing in the bill, the September 8th particular date? Is there something specific about that?
No, he didn't convey to me why he chose that particular date or time frame. But he did say to me, though, that he recognized that it was certainly subject to change.
Well, we, I don't believe that Steve Berlin or I heard any of his plans. We really had not had any kind of communication with Representative Montgomery, and so it was news.
I think it is consistent with the results we have come up with and what we have just, I guess, approved. The only thing is the timing of it. That seems pretty aggressive, but I guess then that becomes a city issue.
Agree.
Okay.
Agree. Other thoughts?
I would like to add for Representative Lambeth and for Mayor Joines, they commended the commission on the process that you went through in terms of their initial charge in doing a good amount of research, and then also reaching out to subject matter experts in elections law, as well as to both former elected officials and managers in similarly sized cities. They were had a good commendation of the commission on having done a good amount of research and putting the effort in, and wanted to say thank you. So I just wanted to make sure that thank you is expressed to the commission as well.
And I would like to express gratitude to Scott Tesh and Meredith Martin for the great job they did as our administrative help, assistants, staff.
I agree.
I agree too.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well, many of us started out as novices in this, and we did come up with a good plan of attack on learning more about this. I think we executed that plan. We were diligent and consistent. And I want to thank each member of the commission for hanging in there and for being part of the process.
It was a pleasure.
If I may, I want to thank the chairs for leading us through this process as well. I'm sure it was an interesting task that we all had, and thank you everyone who served along with me.
Well, I think we've, any other comments?
I second all these sentiments. Thank you for your leadership. I think it's really important what we've done for our community to serve on this commission, and there are tangible results that are to be had from all the work and effort that staff and commission members have put in to this commission. So thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you, Scott and Meredith. We enjoyed having you translate so many of the things that we were in the process of learning. This will be our last meeting as scheduled, and unless we're called to do more, which I doubt, I'm going to ask that we come to adjournment.
So moved.
And so ordered. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
all. Bye. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Meredith.